Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fridays with Steve on the Road edition. I'm coming to you from my peer Courtney Talbot's office here in Southfield, Michigan, where we're headquartered. I had to blur out the background because she actually gets work done versus having a couch and hockey sticks and things like that in the background of my office. And so she was kind enough to loan me her space while I'm in town this week, working with our team here at Apex in Southfield, Michigan. And so excited to be coming to you this Friday morning, as well as getting to spend some face-to-face time with the team. I think I need a weekend to recover from the week. A lot of amazing collaboration, great customer visits, great partner interaction, partner to partner fashion with us. And so just a really, really fun week. And I'm going to cap it off with hopefully another Fridays with Steve you find valuable around Surface. I'm going to interject a few extra things into our agenda today. Just some thoughts about sort of the history of Microsoft hardware, their commitment to the space, investment in the space. Got a couple of funny anecdotes for you along the lines of some of the history and even maybe history repeating itself in some ways as we talk about these devices. And so I'll talk a little bit about sort of the Surface approach to the space across the line. We'll talk about some of the laptops, some of the hub devices, even Duo. I've got some accessory slides that are in the appendix. If you want to deep dive into them, just go ahead and reach out. Give out my email at the end or ping me on LinkedIn here, and we'll go ahead and share those things with you as well. It's fun to talk about hardware when it comes to the Microsoft portfolio. There's actually a long history in this space, going back to mice and keyboards and some of the early entries into hardware. One of the favorite things I had really early on was a force feedback joystick that Microsoft made. And it was really just an amazing device. But there's also been a certain amount of dip the toe in the water, kind of hop back out. And Surface is really showing the commitment long term, much the same as Xbox does. I was at Microsoft in the early days of some of the Xbox product launches, and a lot of money was lost on some of those early ones, and a lot of money is lost on Xbox when it first renews and releases, just based on the massive R&D investment and hardware costs. But I think with Surface, Microsoft has shown a real commitment to innovation, getting better with each iteration. I know things like time to market and the supply chain have just gotten better around Surface as time goes on. They're massively just wonderfully engineered devices, and getting those into the market at the right times is something that I know there's been a ton of improvement on. And when we talk about modern work, when we talk about the things that make productivity and collaboration really sing, the Surface portfolio and what Surface can bring to the table at that hardware and software integration level is pretty spectacular. One of the things that Microsoft has always had a focus on is the design aspect, really thinking about it from an experiential standpoint, how the device looks and feels. And from the early days of Surface, there was so much focus on that feel, that, wow, this feels heavy but still light, right? It feels dense. It feels well constructed, almost like it's sort of cut out of a single piece of metal or a single piece of glass. I think laptops for a while were sort of in the wilderness, right? They were plastic boxes with things that rattled around on the inside, and so Surface really tried to turn that on its ear. I think because there were some other players in the market who were making a name for themselves based off of that world-class engineering, that feel of the device. Even if there were software differences and maybe application availability differences. Sometimes that was overcome because I just think this device is better built, or feels better in my hand. And the Surface line really adopted that approach. And from early on in the design process, there is just a very big focus on making sure that the overall experience is something that Microsoft, and something that us as a partner, we can be really, really proud of. Microsoft has also had just a long commitment to sustainability. Um, really tried to be a market leader, a thought leader in this space when it comes to, hey, there's more to this story than just cranking out hardware, cranking out products and services, that there's an element of whether it's giving back or whether it's being thoughtful about the decisions you make, sort of taken in total, versus decisions that are made in isolation. Something that is good in this tiny sphere of the ecosystem, but has impacts in other places. And I have some of my earliest Surface devices. They're still kicking. I mean, I think one of the biggest things about sustainability is just the life cycle of the device. Many devices, like in my household, have been repurposed. They will move from me as a road warrior executive to a high school student, to an additional device that sits on a shared desk, to even go so far as at one point I had an older Surface mounted on a wall in my garage, giving me access to information. When I break something, I can watch a YouTube video on how to fix it. And to me, one of the biggest elements of sustainability is not sort of that planned obsolescence, that ability for a device to have a long, long life within your ecosystem, whether it's within the business or within the family. Microsoft's also been a pioneer around accessibility. I remember the early days of Windows with those accessibility features being able to be turned on, starting with some of the simplest of things, with high contrast, screen themes, and larger, easy to find cursors and things like that. And that commitment continues to this day. Take that feedback and make the device better. Hey, this button is hard to reach. This cord comes out too easy or too difficultly. To test, to thoughtfully test scenarios outside, that middle 80, 90, 95%, whatever the percentage is, and actually look at some of those edge cases. And then providing accessories, providing even just multiple form factors within the line. I think oftentimes we think of that just as an homage to how different people want to work, but it's also enabling of how different people have to work, right? The Surface Studio knob versus other types of control surfaces. That might make a big difference for some people and guide them to a device, versus other folks who are making that device choice based on how they best choose to work, right? How this device best fits what they want to do. But sometimes that's around accessibility, and sometimes that's around having an option is important. And so that commitment to accessibility just maintains throughout the entire Surface line. And they're so versatile and adaptable. Just being able to adapt, whether it's form factor, whether it's use case, whether it's landscape versus portrait. I can make a lot of cases for all of those things. And I think we've moved through kind of the sine wave of device convergence and device specialization multiple times. What I love about Surface is that it enables you to take either approach, right? There's a number of devices you could use and map in, whether it's into different parts of your world or different parts of your business. You can really target Surface devices where they're going to be the best used in that particular use case, as well as the accessories that matter. It's pretty much a given at this point. Full disclosure, again, I'm working on some wonderful Logitech accessories, cameras and docks here in the office. But Surface also brings those same kinds of products to their world. Great cameras, great microphones. Ironically, even though now we've got these great accessories, just the built-in capability of the machines has come a long, long way. Gone are the days of terrible built-in speakers and microphones. And this is a funny one for me because, I remember, Windows XP tablet edition, right? Wouldn't it be neat to have a pen? And that went okay. But then here we are a decade and a half later, good grief, almost 20 years later, when I think about Windows XP tablet. And inking's a thing again. Whether you look at some of the things that Apple does or some of the things that Samsung does, Microsoft continues with that strategy to say, hey, sometimes there just isn't a better replacement for being able to write. I think a lot of people think of inking as handwriting recognition. To me, it's more about the ability to interject, some of my crappy pictures and, a quick flow chart or some ideation that takes sort of a visual format versus a written format. Because that capability is built in, because it's native to everything that Surface does, it really enables these scenarios, whether it's meeting rooms, whether it's that notebook scenario, whether it's that change of form factor, note taking in a professional meeting. You've got so many different abilities to kind of change your mode. And I take a little bit of pride, right? I was there when we were out there pitching ink and OneNote to every customer we talked to, and we got a lot of blank stares, got a lot of how am I going to use this? Sometimes the rotation didn't work on those old Toshiba rotating touchscreen laptops that we had to carry. But it's come a long, long way. And I think one of the greatest endorsements is you're seeing it across not just like multiple form factors, thinking mobile device, sort of mid-mobile iPad kind of frame, as well as full-on laptops. It's sort of been endorsed by everybody else. There's always an element of, hey, we were here first with this, and we'll see another example of that a little bit later on as well. And so powerful productivity, just wanting to bring you the most productive experiences, Windows 11, the tight integration when it comes to things like the Microsoft 365 applications, even gaming, even the ability to have those personal experiences on these devices, and be able to both collaborate in 1080p as well as dig out Age of Empires and play a couple of rounds. So it's really designed to get you that best of breed experience across a lot of different use cases between your business and personal life. Both the hardware and software have come a long way with respect to enabling those experiences. In security, there's a lot of detail. I've hidden a lot of slides just around how security starts, with the TPM chip in the Surface device, and then all the way back up the stack to M365. Some of it is native and exclusive to the Surface devices. Some of it is more genericized within the M365 ecosystem. It's got some management add-ons to be able to do sort of peek-ins, even down to that firmware hardware level when it comes to managing your environments, things that are unique to Surface versus just staying at a software layer. And that's super, super helpful when it comes to perhaps your role as an IT admin, and being able to sort of address the health of the ecosystem from top to bottom. I know it sometimes can be tough. These Logi devices I'm using, they're wonderful, but at the same time, is there a different management framework for that? Is there things I need to do in Logi management versus Teams admin or Azure Active Directory admin or Intune? On the M365 side. And so Surface really brings those things together on the back end as well, for those of us who are in charge of all those hundreds of devices that are out there. And so when it comes to Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop, those things are just really best of breed when it comes to Surface. I mean, Surface is a pioneer in the autopilot space. So for ease of deployment, getting those things out there, providing secure desktops at scale. If you're in a highly regulated industry, or if you're faced with the challenge of say a division or a part of your organization that's overseas, right? Do we reinvent the infrastructure? Or do we provide like an AVD experience down to individual machines, giving us centralized controls and things like that? There is a great story when you're using Surface, both as a native experience, a Windows 11 experience, as well as a fully cloud-based experience, right? To me, it's a little bit like that. We went on a kind of a Chromebook experiment for a number of years, especially in the school system as my boys grew up. I think, at least in our case, we're back to more of a, there's some intelligence at the edge of the cloud as well. Yeah, let's use some cloud-based tools, but how do we best enable that with compute, with storage, with network and memory, all at the edge as well, versus total centralization? I guess the long story short is Surface gives you the ability to make those decisions that fit best for your environment. I think we all sort of win when we're able to use our business outcomes, our particular business, imperatives to make those decisions versus, hey, we've got to make our business map to the way the technology works, the way the solution is best positioned. It's fun to have the choice back in the hands of the business. And then security with an element of simplicity, right? Things like, built-in biometrics and cameras and hardware that support things like facial recognition, Windows Hello, and being able to do that in an easy way. Again, Surface has extensions to all those tools we know and love to really do something like Windows Hello, something like biometrics, machine level encryption, to be able to do it at scale and manage it well. Yeah, I said, machine level encryption, BitLocker, those kinds of things, they're recommended best practices. But it sure is nice when we have additional tools, when we have additional insight that the platform provides to us, to really make sure we're deploying it well, it's getting consumed, and frankly, that it's easy to use for our users. And so just a little bit more, with this in mind around security, it is, Microsoft likes to think of it as the most secure Windows 11, endpoint you can provide to an organization from the day it's built, through the day it's deployed to the day it's retired. The tools are there for you to make this the most secure device. I don't have the stats anymore, sort of at the ready like I used to around, machines and cell phones lost in taxi cabs, and the number of devices left in hotel rooms and misplaced, and thefted break-ins and things like that. And so to have a device that is secure end to end is super powerful, and that's always been a focus. I talked about the engineering the borderline over engineering in the early days, supply chain challenges and so forth, with Surface One, because there was so much focus on the engineering and on the security pieces. A lot of that has been worked out, and we're seeing those Surface devices come to market very, very fast. I left in, just a couple of quick takes around device management. I've mentioned it a lot, that there are just things we can do with Surface, either that we can't do other places, or that are just so much more accessible, made so much more easy on our end of the spectrum when it comes to supporting our users. Whether it's endpoint manager, encryption, really built from day one for zero touch deployment. I was I guess I still am. I'm a CIE, or customer immersion experience practitioner for Microsoft. Obviously, we always use Surface devices, and we couldn't do our job without zero touch deployment, autopilot kinds of capability, reset a machine quickly, because I was going from customer to customer to customer with my rolling box of a dozen Surfaces to show them the greatness in Teams, let's say, at that point, as Teams was relatively new. And so they really focused on that remote device management, that zero touch deployment, and Surface is really best of breed when it comes to it. So it wouldn't be a Surface presentation if I didn't spend a few minutes just kind of showing you all the attractive form factors and sort of where we're at now with the portfolio. Kind of think about them breaking down into three areas, the 2-in-1, really sort of the inception of Surface, this idea of, what if a tablet could also be a good productivity device, keyboard, mouse, ink, but then have the ability and really a native capability around being a tablet. Again, I told you I suffered through Windows XP Tablet Edition. It was XP that kind of did tablet stuff. Surface from the ground up, built to be a great tablet, built to be a great hold in your hand device and work with ink, work with on-screen keyboards and touch, and then also provide that, hey, I'm sitting at a desk kind of experience. And then when the laptop was invented, or not invented, when the laptop was added to the Surface portfolio, it was really a game changer to be able to say, hey, we've got this form factor now, a little bit more traditional. Be careful with how you, take that screen off of it and so forth. But giving us sort of a laptop first experience, right? In my experience, so many of the people who have Surface laptops, use it exclusively as a laptop versus, the bend all the way back functionality that's been there, or the de-dock the screen functionality. For most of us, it was just a really, really great laptop. And then I'll spend a couple of minutes talking about Surface Hub as well. That's near and dear to our heart here at Apex. We work with so many customers around room systems that the room system story there is pretty powerful. So just real quick, I just want to show kind of a few nice images and kind of what the experience is like around these individual devices. There'll be some features you can kind of look through. One of the things that is nice is you can take this line and go through it at a business unit level, even at a user or role level, and say, hey, what fits people best, right? Is it the Go devices for people always on the move, looking, to use remote LTE kinds of networks, right? Is it, the Pro device where, hey, we need that great tablet feel, long battery life, but we also need the option to, at times attach a keyboard and make it something that feels like a great productivity device in sort of the vein that folks are used to. So we've got the Surface Pro 9 in this space, kind of the latest and greatest investments with optional 5G. So again, you can build in that mobile network story if something that's important for your organization, for you as an individual, as you think about your needs. Then we get into the laptop lines, being able to really have a best of breed laptop replacement, again, uh, with the Go really designed to be on the move. Being able to travel with even some of your craziest road warriors and give them, all the things Windows 11, all the things Surface brings to the table for someone that's always on the move. Of course, they always sneak in a build slide on me. The Laptop 5 for business. This is a particular favorite of people right now. I think we're getting a couple for folks here in the organization. Best of breed laptop, right? Give me some horsepower. Give me some great screens. Give me touch, and give it to me in a form factor that I know and love. This Laptop 5 is really an amazing device. See if you can't get your hands on it the next time you're visiting a store, visiting a retail outlet where you can see some of these devices side by side. And then Laptop Studio. So again, very flexible, very focused on some specific use cases. Be able to go to that angled stage versus the laptop very quickly. I also kind of do get a kick out of the studio device itself, simply because where that's the right device for the use case, it's absolutely amazing. Graphic design, instructional design, places where you're immersed in content. I think that's a form factor and a device that's hard to beat. Speak of the devil, that big screen, immersive screen, creative accessories to really make it design, and the ability to you lower the display down to being a drafting table. Really, really spot on when it comes to a user or a use case that's looking for that kind of functionality. And then again, I kind of smile when I see devices like this. Again, I remember Windows Phone. I remember, hey, let's get some more of that capability into the device. And here now we've also got the form factor isn't the form factor. We carry it like a phone, but we can open it up and use it more like a tablet. Pretty niche still so far. But you can see this notion of extensible screens and changing sort of the nature of the form factor between carrying the device and using the device. There's probably some people in the audience that are still sore about Lenovo now, but IBM ThinkPads back in the day, and the 701 with the butterfly keyboard, right? How do I take a really small laptop and give people a full-size keyboard? And so when you would open it up, the keyboard would move from sort of a docked state and go out and be full size. So the keyboard sort of hung out over the laptop frame. Kind of see Duo and some of the innovation in this space doing the same thing, which is how do I sort of get more space than you think you're going to get, whether it's screen space or touch space. Based on the fact that we're doing some creative things with form factor morphing. I'd make a Doctor Who reference, but it'd probably be lost on people. Most people that don't know the show, but one of the key tenets is sometimes a little small door goes to a large world, and I kind of feel that way about Surface Duo. A lot of possibilities here. If you haven't picked one up, take a look. It's really quite an amazing device. Wanted to finish the product portfolio with the Surface Hub. We've got a lot of traction with customers talking about this next iteration of Surface Hub, both as a device itself, as well as a device that's either prime or secondary within that Teams Rooms scenario. It is really, really fantastic, right? 50 and 85 inch versions, all-in-one capability, full touch. I think one of the things that we discovered as we've been on this rooms journey is that not everything has to be mounted to a wall. Sometimes the greatest story for a room even if it's not going to go from room to room, even if they're not going to move it from corner to corner, might be this form factor. And one of the nice things with these all-in-one boards, there's a number of vendors, or you can even sort of roll your own when it comes to, take a Logi device and a Samsung Touch TV. You can create an experience that is all in one, right? So no tap, no controller needed. Surface Hub is prime in this space, and it's really a wonderful, wonderful device. Think about education. Think about engineering collaboration, strategic planning at the executive level. I know basically all strategic planners are also wonderful picture drawers. And so to have that native capability for them built in, to be able to both collaborate locally and remote, as well as draw their pictures, is a pretty powerful thing to do. So take a look at the line, the Surface Business line on Microsoft.com. Contact us. We'd love to talk to you about devices and how we can help support you. In this case, Surface and all the things that the Surface product portfolio brings to the table. So with that, I think I'm going to close out another episode of Fridays with Steve, road trip edition. Just a little bit about Apex. Been around a long time, hundreds of customers, hundreds of projects, thousands of people and endpoints under management. Proud to remain on the CRN MSP 500 as we continue our business, and it is a great place to work. Just as a funny aside, I've really enjoyed my week here with the team. I get a little bit of feedback from them around the fact that it's longer days and a lot of collaborative time in office, sometimes, behind a commute for some folks. But I love being the reason that we all get together and collaborate. And it's been an amazing week for us. And so I get hybrid. We support our customers with hybrid. Hybrid means that sometimes you do get to collaborate face to face. And I've really been thankful for my week here in Southfield. And so some next steps, always close with these. Reach out to your account executive. If you're not currently an Apex customer, reach out to sales. You can also just reach out directly to me if you want the slide deck. You've got some follow-up questions. You just want to have a point of contact here with our organization, whether you're a customer, whether you're a partner, whether you're a prospective vendor or supplier in the space. Just go ahead and reach out to me, sthompson@apexdigital.com. I'd love to talk to you about the possibilities. So with that, we'll wrap up. If you're watching me live, the second we close out, I'm shutting down and I'm headed to the airport. I have lost status completely after 3 years of limited travel, and so got to get to the airport a little bit earlier. Wish me luck, both weather-wise and timing-wise. Reach out to Apex, sales@apexdigital.com. It's always great spending time with you, whether you're watching live or watching on recording. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to talking to you again real soon.